The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set. Hey, welcome back. Another hot episode of the Golden Boot. It's your boy Pooh Bear. I got my man Ant Petty Murphy in the building. What's good with you, my boy?
Man, I'm tired, dog. Signing day don't wore me out.
Man, I know the feeling. I was trying to keep up with it all day, working, trying to get ready for the show. And of course, technical difficulties.
Wouldn't be right.
I feel like with the camera looking like this, I feel like we just starting. Like this is like 2 years ago. We first started. And crazy enough, I was in Arizona then too. So and we was actually announcing, hey, we just got Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
When times were simple. But man, we just had a really consider all things considered a really good class. But it's a lot to talk about tonight, man. Because it's I think joyful as LSU fans are with the class we got. I think a lot of people are still slightly disappointed, in some ways. But I don't think it's necessarily. I don't think we should be hanging our heads.
Yeah,
but we do have some realistic expectations.
I don't know if there's really much to be disappointed about, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I get it. But I do think it's time to work now. So speaking of that, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. But first, y'all know what we gotta give a shout out to our sponsors over at BetOnline. BetOnline.ag. We will be back in 1 minute. BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your sports information, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds, lines, and player injury reports for this year's NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters. This season, we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. We have everything from NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL to golf, tennis, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games that you can play right from your home. Head on over to betonline.ag today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use the promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And we are back. Like I said, like I said before the break, LSU brought in a at least for early signing day. Pretty good class. Um, DJ Pickett stuck. Got DJ Pickett. You got the top running back in the nation, in Harlem Berry. You got a damn good running back to complement him as well in JT Lindsay. Um, you got some big O line commits. You stole one out of what was he? Florida State with Solomon Thomas. Um, you did lose some commits. We lost yesterday. We lost Cade Phillips, but you also still did bring in Aiden Anding. Uh, you got what's the Jim? I can't. I miss his name up all the time. Corley. Is it Jim Corley?
Yeah, CJ.
Yeah, Jim Corley.
Yeah, Joe
I'm
Cole.
gonna mess it up.
You know, he signed.
That's what I said. We still got him. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's. I mean, great. Like I said, great haul. A lot of people gave hell up to Keelan Moses. I mean, the entire process, and he was one of your solid guys who stuck.
yeah. You lost. Technically, you had two flips.
Mhm.
On Saturday. You had Derek Meadows, who signed with Alabama, and then you had the tight end who ultimately signed with South Carolina, Mike Tyler, but he was from South Carolina, so
Mhm.
I don't think the that one was much of a surprise to the staff. I think they've known about that one for a few weeks, and I think Meadows was kind of shopping himself around to try to up the price that he could get from schools, and LSU just kind of stood firm on what they were offering, so he ultimately signed with Alabama. But I don't know how much of a loss either one of those are, considering you were able to flip a 5-star number two interior offensive lineman in the country, um, Solomon Thomas. So losing out on Cade Phillips hurts, but I'll take a 5-star offensive lineman over a 5-star DB any day of the week.
Yeah.
You win in the trenches, and getting a guy like Solomon Thomas who could compete for a starting spot right away, I think is a bigger get than K Phillips would have been. Not saying I wouldn't want K Phillips, you know what I mean, but
Mhm.
that was the perfect way to rebound from losing K Phillips was getting a guy like Solomon Thomas.
Yeah. Looking out, uh, 12 teams in the SEC are in your top 20 in recruiting. Um,
Yeah.
LSU brought in Solomon Thomas, as you mentioned, Harlem Berry, DJ Pickett, Aiding, Lindsey, Shanklin, uh, Carius Kern, Tyler Miller, Charles Ross, Jaden Breaker, Keelan Moses, Jace Thomas, Jacob Bradford, Philip Wright, Teron Francis, Zach Weeks, who was a late addition because he reclassified the younger of the Weeks brothers. Uh, Tight end JD LaFleur, uh, Brett Borderline, Brandon Brown, uh, Walter Mathis, Dylan Battle, Zion Williams, and according to BK, it should be more to come.
Yeah, I think he said 25, and right now you're at 24 if I'm or 23. Uh
Mhm.
23, so one or two more high school guys, and then he said 12 portal guys is kind of the number he's looking at. So they're gonna have to get busy in that transfer portal season. But like he said a few weeks ago, they're gonna spend some money in the portal. They're gonna be aggressive in the portal. So I think this class, as good as it is not going to be enough to compete next year. So you're going to have to go in the portal and get immediate impact guys who can come in and help this team right away.
Big facts. Uh, That I think is my concern. I hear the talk. Um, I told you after the Florida loss that a lot of LSU fans had lost their, um, I guess, belief in Brian Kelly.
Yeah,
Losing Bryce Underwood wasn't necessarily the nail in the coffin, but I think it was the point to where LSU fans are pointing, but like, okay, this is too much. This is the point where it's show me time instead of the lip service. We've dealt with Orgeron, we've dealt with Les Miles, and hearing all the talk, and it's like now we want to see it, especially when we're seeing everybody around us build. Uh, Everybody in your conference, for the most part, is building. Um,
mhm.
I am, like I stated, I'm not necessarily down on LSU. I'm not necessarily down about this class. Uh, but what I am is I'm at a point where I'm like, if we doing it good, I'm happy. I'm glad, what I'm saying, I love the guys we got. Uh, but I want to see more. I guess I'm just ready to I'm ready to hit that peak, bro. I'm ready to go on that run. And I feel like
Yeah,
we had 2 seasons, we had 2 good seasons where that should have happened and we wasted it.
that's fair. That's fair, but at the same time, you could say he overachieved year one. Um, year two,
Extremely underachieved.
year two, you underachieved because of your defense, and year three, I think you lost a couple games. You underachieved and lost a few games because you couldn't play a complete game offensively and defensively. Um, but at the same time, I can't fault BK for Underwood leaving. Like that,
No.
nobody was gonna offer that kind of money that Michigan did. But what I think it did was it took away that grace period. It took away that runway that he was getting because he was getting the number one quarterback to come in, and so it expedited that result oriented mindset of the fans and said, okay, we were gonna give you time with Bryce, but now Bryce out
Mhm.
the picture, you don't have time no more. You got to win now, which I
All
think
right.
is one reason why we've seen the philosophy mindset flip of last year we weren't really aggressive in the portal, and this year we're talking about we're going to be aggressive in the portal. I think that mindset switch is due to the sense of urgency he now has, not just because of losing Bryce, but the way the season panned out and the way the team looked during the season. I think he fully expected to be competing for the playoff this year, and you ain't even a top 25 team. So I think that little fire up under him, so to speak, to the point to where he had to be more urgent, he had to be more desperate, so to speak, and I think we're gonna see that in the portal.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I want to go back to the guys. First off, I said it, and we start off. We talked about it. Uh, I'd be remiss if I didn't say congratulations to all those student athletes who are getting a chance to continue to dream to play at the next level, having that opportunity. I know how much or how dedicated and hard working that these young men have been to get to this level. Uh, Big shout out to the little cuz who officially signed with Boston College. Uh, to see the video where Bill O'Brien speaks about lace him on signing, to see the guys who signed with Houston, so, who'll be playing with my son, who I get to go cheer them on and sit with their parents and stuff, and also to see the guys at LSU who now I'll be pulling for, getting to learn, saying trying to learn their stats and figure out what where they fit and how they fit and how they'd advance this team. So congratulations to all of them. But I want to ask you, Ant, because you're down there. I know you keep up with high school football. What are some of the guys what is some about some of the guys we're getting that we're just not even talking about?
Ooh. Well, I think you kind of mentioned it. Harlem Berry get a lot of love,
Mhm.
obviously and understandably so, being the number one running back in the country. But I think people kind of sleeping on JT Lindsay and what he could bring as a freshman to their running back room. He an explosive athlete. He can make you miss. He's an all around running back, and even if you take Harlem Berry out this class, I think people would still be content with him being like the star of the class as far as the running back room goes. Um, he a legit talent, and then I think the wide receiver haul in this year's class wasn't as large as we've seen some other years, and it didn't have the star power that some of the other position groups had. But I think Teron Francis is a kid that could be special. What he's doing to Edna Carr is insane, man. I think his physicality that he plays with, his ability
Mhm.
to win at the line of scrimmage, on the release, and he's a good athlete in terms of high pointing the ball and with the ball in his hand. So I think he's another underrated kid. For some reason, being at a school like Edna Carr, you would think he would get more recognition, but I think he kind of flew under the radar in the recruiting process, and I think he could be a steal.
Yeah. Um, it's funny because with his teammate, well, I guess technically they weren't teammates, with his classmate being there, who didn't even play this year because of, transfer
Mhm.
and stuff. He got more of the recognition and stuff. And I'm with you that, Francis flew under the radar. Um, Another guy who I don't think got enough love, and he reminds me a lot of the DBs that we get, Aid Andy. Uh,
Yeah,
I if he was anywhere else in Louisiana, closer to the bottom of the boot, I think he's a 4-star.
he
I
a
think he
four.
gets a little. He's four. I thought he was still listed as a 3.
Nah, he a 4-star. He
Okay.
got a
Um, okay. Well, yeah. Kudos to that, but I still think he doesn't get the attention or recognition um, that he
yeah.
would get other
I think
places.
part of that is he didn't start playing football till last year, junior year, so he kind of was late to the scene, or so to speak. But I think some of it is kind of due to that. I ain't gonna call it bias, but the um the difference in media coverage that high school football down south gets versus high school football up north. Um,
Mhm.
some of the same athletes up north don't get shown the same attention as the ones like, and I think that plays into JT Lindsay as well. Him being in Central
Mhm.
Louisiana. So I don't think it has anything to do with their talent level as much as the coverage
Right,
they get. but
right.
as far as talent level, I think Aiden Annan is gonna be a heck of a DB at LSU. Um, the kid is a playmaker. He's always around the football, whether it's forcing fumbles or interceptions. You can put him at return man. He's returned a few punts and kickoffs for touchdowns. If he gets his hands on the ball on the interception or in the return game, it's probably gonna be 6 going the other way. Like he's that
Mhm.
good with the ball in his hands. So, and he's a triple sport athlete. He plays basketball, runs track. So He's a he's an all around athlete that could probably play receiver if you needed him to. He's just that good of an athlete. But I think
Yeah,
with Corey Raymond refining some of his techniques since he's still been kind of young to the position, I think he can in due time. I think he could be one of those Greedy Williams type guys who nobody really talks about on signing day and during the recruitment process, but turns out to be a hell of a player.
right. Um, Looking back,
I
Charles
think
Ross.
Yeah, the
Go ahead.
linebacker.
I'm
I was just
sorry.
about to say that the linebackers. Nobody really talking about that group. except for trying to trash Keelan Moses, some of our stupid fan base. But that linebacker group I think is a nice haul. When you look at Moses, you look at Ross, who's a ridiculously fast linebacker. He got DB speed at the linebacker position. Um, then you look at Jaden Breaker, who I think is going to be kind of like your traditional linebacker of the group, the Weeks brother, who if he anything like his brother, he gonna be a pretty good linebacker. So I think Blake Baker got a pretty good haul to go with the class we had last year of 4 good linebackers. So that linebacker room is kind of set in for a few years in terms of depth and talent. So I think he's done a good job bringing talent in that room, and a lot of people haven't really talked about the defensive line. I know we missed out on Jakeem Stewart, but I think Zion Williamson, Walter Mathis, Brandon Brown, and Dylan Battle, they might not be the sexiest names in terms of star power, but if you watch their tape, if you watch their film, and you see the body types that they are and the way that they play, and you pair that with what Bo Davis was able to do with the freshman class that he brought in last year with Amar Bro and Dominic McKinley, Gabe Rutherford, and those guys, and the way we saw them improve and develop throughout the season, giving Bo Davis the type of defensive lineman that he wants instead of just chasing star power, I think is going to pay dividends, because I think these guys are the type of defensive lineman that he wants to fit his scheme, so to speak. So I'm interested to see which one of them kind of carries the flag in this class to be like the guy for this, because they all kind of similarly ranked and rated and all. I know Zion the highest ranked, but they all kind of ranked together. So I would kind of which one kind of stands out when we get, because I think all of them are early enrollees too, which is huge in terms of development.
Yeah, huge. Tyler got a comment here, which is funny. He said, was it me or was BK basically saying, "Hey, big man, let me hold $1"?
Yeah, that's facts, bro. Our guy AYS tweeted out that the quote from Brian Kelly that said, "Your brand has to be backed up by dollars. If you want to be able to close on some of these, we have to have participation from the donor base." Well, he did what Ryan Day did a few years ago when he got in front of the Booster Club and said, "Hey, I need $20 million for my roster," or however amount it was. But he he went and got in front of the fan base and basically said, if y'all want to win these recruiting battles that y'all keep complaining that we ain't winning, put your money where your mouth is. Donate to the Buy Your Traditions Collective. I mean, somebody did the math today. You got 105,000 people every Saturday at Tiger Stadium. If 105,000 people donate $10 a month, to just $10 a month, $12.6 million in a year. So you could easily raise 15 million dollars a year just from everybody giving $10 a month. That ain't including all the other big checks that you get from all the other big boosters and stuff. You can get the common fan involved, but it just takes that drive, that initiative, that forethought to find creative ways to get the fan involved. Our whole fan base for the past 2 weeks been all on social media throwing out ideas of how to get, how to fundraise and get the common fan involved, from doing auctions and raffles, lotteries and all that, to just doing text text drives and chain mails, emails and stuff like that to raise money. So if we could spend $10 to subscribe to On Three, Rivals, and 247 and all these accounts, we could spend $10 a month donating to the collective.
Yeah, that's fair. Very fair. Perp points out Kirby did the same thing. And
Yeah,
I like I like this quote from Tyler. Tyler says, "I don't know about y'all, but I want hungry, not sexy names."
that's facts, bro.
So yes.
We seen other programs chase the 5-star names and just go get a whole bunch of 5 stars and don't really care about fit, don't really care about all that kind of stuff, and it backfire on them. So give me guys who want to be here and who got a chip on their shoulder instead of guys who feel like something's supposed to be owed to them.
That's big facts. Um, I mentioned and I started off and I said that some people are disappointed and stuff. You said this, you don't feel that they should be. We've discussed that. We've talked about it. Let me ask you this: are there any concerns though that you may have with this class, or what we didn't get?
I would have liked another corner. Um, that K Phillips would have been nice,
Mhm.
but the fact that you don't have a quarterback, maybe. Um, but I think it's a real well-rounded class. You know what I mean? You got 4 or 5 offensive linemen, you got 4 or 5 defensive linemen, you got 4 linebackers, 2 corners, 3 safeties. You know what I mean? Like you got a pretty well-rounded class, other than not having a quarterback in it. So quarterback and not having 3 corners, I think is the biggest knock on the class. But technically, you still in the mix for a quarterback. The North Carolina commit Bryce Baker. So um, we'll hold out hope on that one. But I think overall, it's a pretty solid class.
Yeah, that's facts. I completely agree with that. Quarterback is the only thing that concerns me with this class. We've addressed the trenches big time in this class. We've gotten some special some skilled player guys at almost every level, but it feels like we went heavy uh, in the trenches, and that part I love. I love.
Yep.
Quarterback can come and go. Um, with the news that Ricky Collins has entered the portal, uh, and I know people are gonna say, "Hey, he wasn't starting. He hadn't done much," and people are gonna say he isn't that good. I'm not trying to hear all that. He was a body who was in your system, was learning your system, and had been here 2 years. You got to go to the portal. No disrespect to anybody on this roster. You gotta go to the portal. But when you go to the portal and get a quarterback, don't get somebody as a depth piece. Get somebody who's going to push. Get somebody who's going to push. Iron sharpens iron.
I don't disagree with that, but if you a quarterback in the portal, are you
Yeah, I
going
know.
somewhere where you
I
got to
know.
compete, or are you going somewhere where you
Yeah,
got the job?
I already know. Yeah, you absolutely right. You're probably going somewhere where you got the job. Um, it's just
And then it's another thing. Like so USC last year was in a similar situation to LSU last year, right? You had a
mhm.
quarterback that was leaving, going to the league, Heisman Trophy winner, whatever. Then you had a quarterback who killed it in the bowl game, and the fan base kind of knew that was their guy going forward. But LSU went after a transfer quarterback. USC went after a transfer quarterback. LSU went after AJ Swan. USC went after Jordan Maava. The difference to me is Jordan Maava could start if need be, and there isn't a drop off, so to speak, with the offense. AJ Swan was never going to be a quarterback on a contending team for the playoff. He was a serviceable backup, but he, like you say, he wasn't gonna push Nuss in that starter role to where he could beat Nuss out and possibly become your guy. So I think last year was the year for you to go get a guy who could push Nuss because Nuss' job wasn't solidified. He had only played one bowl game.
Yeah,
But now he's got a year under his belt, and it's pretty
that's very
much
fair.
assumed that he's the guy. So it's gonna be harder to go get a guy that could push Nuss whenever it's basically written in pen already that he's your starter next year if he comes back. Now, if he don't come back, that changes things obviously, and you might be able
All
to go
right.
get one of the top-notch quarterbacks. But if Nussmeier comes back, I don't see you being able to go get a true difference maker at quarterback.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, very fair.
And then it's another thing. USC was able to go get Jordan Maava because, like him or not, he got Lincoln Riley as his head coach, and Lincoln Riley's shown that he can develop quarterbacks, and that he's got a system that's conducive to quarterback play. After the offense we saw this year, unless you make some changes on the staff, what quarterback want to come be part of this offense? And I mean, don't
Yeah,
get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. You threw the ball a lot. You did. You know what I mean?
but you didn't help yourself out
But you didn't help
the
the
run game.
quarterback out at all, bro. And then not to mention you probably finna have 4 new offensive linemen. You know what I mean? So I don't know. If I'm a transfer quarterback, I don't know how attractive of a situation LSU is. I'll just put it that way.
That's very fair. That's very fair. Um, Outside of quarterback, I think we probably need to try to get a DB, a cornerback rather. Um,
So probably 2.
yeah, and maybe one senior. I'm not senior. Safety. Um,
For sure, safety too. Yeah. Because I mean, you
yeah.
lost Jordan Allen. So you
Yeah.
losing Jordan Allen. You losing Jordan Allen, Major Burns, and Sage Ryan. I ain't talking about they play on the field. I'm just talking about bodies in the room. So you lost 3 safeties out the room. You're gonna have to bring somebody in, dog.
Yeah. Big facts. Big facts. Outside of that, man.
I think you need a receiver now that CJ Daniels has hit the portal.
That
Um,
too.
I think you need defensive end since Womack hit the portal, and you're losing 3 defensive ends now. 2 of them to the draft and 1 of them to the portal. D tackle ain't as big of a need.
Mhm.
Um,
Which,
I
especially
would,
with you getting Tank back.
yeah. If you get Jacobian back, you bring Suggs back, McKinley back, Bro back, Sean Washington back. So it ain't a huge need. Um,
Hmm.
as defensive end is on the offensive line. If you bring Emory Jones back, I don't think you need a tackle. But if he leaves, I think you need a tackle in the portal, and I think you need a guard or a center interior person in the portal also.
Yeah. Perk gives his synopsis. What Tyler said when he wide receiver and quarterback. Perk came through, said 2 D tackles, 2 safety, and 2 O linemen, and 1 wide receiver and 2 edges.
I say 1 D tackle, 2 safeties, 2 offensive line, 1 wide receiver, 2 edges, quarterback, and cornerback. Paul Sub say you need a left tackle. They got one in the portal from Illinois State who was
Yeah.
like a I know Illinois State. I know everybody gonna freak out about
That's
that,
what, yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna
but
say that's what.
he had an NFL draft grade though, so like he ain't no like slouch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My bad. I'm trying to. All right, man. Final thoughts on LSU, man. And the overall haul.
I think we need to everybody in the chat need to donate to Bayou Traditions if we want to be a player in the recruiting game and compete for championships. It's gonna take all of us putting our money where our mouth is and um, pitching in here and there. You know what I mean? It ain't gotta be it ain't gotta be much. It could be $10 a month. It could be $20 a month. Whatever you want to do. Don't buy that 6-pack this week, and you know what I mean. And when you get out of work, and throw that $10 to the Bayou Traditions. Don't eat, take your lunch to work one day instead of eating out. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. As a matter of
it's
fact, I got you one.
it's ways you could do it to where you ain't breaking
I,
yourself. You know what I mean? But I just feel like everybody need to get involved, bro.
I got it because some people be like, I'm not finna pay players. Okay, pay us. Send it to super chat. I promise you, we'll donate it. We'll donate
Fact.
to the Bayou Tradition. Send us some super chats. We'll put it through. Saying it'll come from us. You gave to us, and that's what we freely chose to do with the money. If that's how you feel about it. Speaking of that, super chats open. Facebook stars open. Cash App open. Whatever you want to do, send it to. I promise you, we will give to the Bayou Tradition. We gonna get hey, dollar by dollar, brick by brick. We'll get it done, man. It's the cost you have to play to be the boss nowadays. I understand not everybody who has bought players has won, but money that you donate doesn't necessarily have to go towards if you want to look at as buying. You got to pay the, recruiting costs money.
It ain't just that though. But if you wanna keep Emory Jones at LSU next year, it's gonna take money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want Nussmeyer to come back for another year, it's gonna take money. If you like,
Facts.
it ain't just about going and buying recruits, high school kids, or going to buying kids out the portal. It's about keeping kids that's already produced for your school and keeping them from going to the draft or hitting the portal. So you don't gotta look at it as we finna go buy recruits. Look at it as like, well, I'm gonna do what I can to keep the guys. Aaron Anderson coming. He announced he coming back for another year. You don't think it's gonna take some money to keep him here? Like
Mm-hmm.
some of your money is going to that. So if you don't want to pay, if you don't want to be a part of paying a high school kid X amount of dollars to come to LSU, then be a part of paying to keep kids at LSU.
I'm glad Marv said I got funky $40. It made me think about people talk about they say when you your money don't stink until somebody borrowed
Yeah,
money from you. I got your little punk ass $20.
yeah. It's always little whenever they got
Yeah.
to pay you back.
Yeah, I got your little $20.
That that little $20 you gave me, it wasn't little whenever you needed it. It was everything in the world to you.
I did that to my mama one time just to mess with her. She had loaned me somewhere. I said I gave back to it. I was like, "Here go your little funky $20." just to mess with her, man. But yeah, man, that's what we got to do, bro. That's just the name of the game nowadays. I saw it. Shout out and I don't know if he, what I'm saying, watch. Shout out to our guy Renard from Down South Football. I saw him quoted. I think it was Sark said it. Adapt or die. That's where the title of the show came from. You got to, bro. Is you can't be when Gus Malzahn came out. I ain't gonna say came out when he started doing the hurry up offense and Saban was complaining about it. Saban ultimately just started using the hurry up offense himself, or got some variation of it. When NIL was, first started, Saban went to that. He
Transfer
just got to
portal.
a point. Yeah, transfer portal. He literally got to a point where he said, I feel like I'm antiquated. That's why I got to step out. We can't let our program get there.
What we, as in the people who make the decisions for the program, whether it be the athletic department, athletic director, head coach, support staff, whoever it is, they can't let the program become antiquated. But at the same time, the fan base can't let the program become antiquated because in this day and age, it takes the fan base to compete.
Facts.
Unless you, it will scratch that. It's either you got billionaires in your fan base like Texas A&M, Michigan, and all them kind of schools, or you got everyday people pooling their money together like Ole Miss, in schools like that. Either
Facts.
way it go, it take the fan base. So if LSU fans want LSU to be successful, you got to put your money where your mouth is, and you got to donate to the collective. You got to donate to TAB. You got to donate your money. So you right, Pooh. We can't let it become antiquated, and the fans are part of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, now so we've talked about LSU. I want to look outside the landscape, or around the landscape, around the college football. Uh, what was some before we do that? Before we talk about, or I ask this next question, Thanos, Jakeem Stewart went to USC.
I could have told you that a month ago.
Yeah, I saw. I think Ryan was on the wall. When who was the kid? Barry, was it Berryman? Was saying that, saying yeah. I think we all kind of saw it. I didn't even see the same push from LSU. I know they were trying, but I didn't see the same push. When he didn't come, he was the unofficial visit, and the picture came out. He was sitting on the, sitting by the pool. I think that said a lot. I think it said a lot. So,
Yep.
yeah. But around college football though, man, who surprised?
I mean, you got to say Oregon, right? Doing what they was able to do. Not only did they keep that receiver Dallas Wilson, who was projected to flip to Florida, they also flipped Naeem Alford, the 5-star cornerback who was committed to Auburn. So they had a hell of a. I mean, you look at what they finished with. They got the number 1 wide receiver, the number 3 corner, the number 2 wide receiver, the number 2 safety, and the number 6 corner, and the number 7 corner. Like, it's a hell of a class, bro. Now I do question what they did in the trenches. Because they got a couple guys in the trenches, but I don't know if they put enough emphasis in the trenches. But either way it go, that's a hell of a class. So you got to mention Oregon and Texas. Texas got a nice class. I hate to admit it, but they got a nice class. Um, Flippin' K helped. They kept Jamie French. Uh, they got Michael Terry. If they able to get that Justice kid, I think they'll have one of the best classes in the country. But Florida did pretty good today. I know Auburn lost a kid, but considering what they look like on the field, being where they at in being top 7 in recruiting, even losing Naheem Alford, I think is pretty impressive. So It's a couple schools that did some nice things today.
Yeah. Um.
Sucks that most of them in the SEC, but
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, stat 12 of 20 of the top classes are in the SEC.
look with
Uh.
the top 10 is three Big Ten schools and seven SEC schools.
I don't even know where did LSU even finish.
Eight.
Yeah.
And I mean, and somebody had to post on Twitter earlier, considering you had committed at one time and lost the number one quarterback in the country, the number one wide receiver in the country, uh, K. Phillips, Derek Meadows. Like you would LSU probably would have finished with the number one class in the country if they would have been able to keep all them guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Let me flip it from signing day real quick. You got anything else on signing day before I
Nah,
move on?
I'm just glad it's over.
Well, at least part of it is. Um, Coaching carousel is in full effect now, and I don't think it'll be as hectic as it was last year with when Saban retired, and then 400 different jobs because of that changes. Um, but we are seeing some that may impact, well, that have impacted and may impact LSU in the future. It's rumored that Slade Nagel is leaving LSU as a tight end coach to go to Houston to be the OC. Um, Back with Willie Fritz, he was the OC. Well, he was the tight ends coach for a while with Willie Fritz. Then he became the OC and assistant head coach at Tulane for 2023. Um, so that'd be interesting to see if he does take that and move on. Also, sticking with Tulane's head coach is rumored to be a top candidate for the UNC job as a replacement there. Um, Blake Baker's name has been thrown out.
Mm-hmm. For the Tulane job, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
While I understand it, he played for Tulane and all that kind of stuff. I also don't know if Tulane is at the point where they feel like hiring
First time head coach.
not yeah a coordinator. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if they feel like I feel like they think they can go get an established head coach like they did when they hired Summerall.
Mm-hmm. So another thing
I
about
mean,
that, Summerall is former.
to be, Summerall make like $1 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Baker make 2.5 times that.
Yeah. Uh, Summerall, also another thing with Summerall, he was on the staff at Tulane prior too. So it was like bringing a familiar face back. Um, Blake Baker's not going to be it. So that'll be like if that were to happen, this may be a mass overhaul.
Yeah, but I just
And I don't and I'm with you in quoting it. I don't think Tulane's ready to do a mass overhaul when they're just come off their third straight championship appearance.
yeah. I think they're gonna try to go get a guy who's proven that he can win at a lower G5 type school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that is, you know what I mean, but maybe maybe GJ Kenny from Texas State or somebody like that, you know what I mean? But I just feel like they go that route before they took a chance on a first time head coach.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something. It's funny. I thought I sent it to you. I thought not Tulane. I thought Houston may reach out to Will Hall.
Yeah,
Will
yeah.
Hall, yeah,
I think Slade Nagel's a better hire in my opinion.
you say he is?
Yeah.
Okay. Only reason I said that because Will Hall coached with them before. He was the OC. Very familiar with Willie, Coach Fritz and that staff. So, but then again, like you said, I mean, just a year removed as your
Yeah.
OC.
Yeah, I think that's a better move. But did you see who UCF was trying to look at as their head coach?
I did not.
So I forgot who reported it, but it was reported today that UCF was gauging the interest of Lincoln Riley to be their next head coach.
That's funny. That is hilarious. Um,
It's if you think
I know it's
about it,
probably
it ain't a bad option. Like you want to stay in the Big Ten if you Lincoln Riley, or you want to go to the Big 12.
yeah, return to the Big 12. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
I
Like
mean,
you on the hot seat over there. So you leave now and you go a fresh start over there at UCF. You in the further recruiting bed in Florida. You know what I mean? Like technically it ain't that bad of a but I don't think he gonna leave. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it I commend UCF for trying. I'll just say that.
they do what
What's
we
the
say. You got to do a lot. So
what's the worst he could say?
yeah, nah, I'm good. And okay, yeah, that's good. Um, I'm gonna tell you, who was it? So, coaching carousel, of course, it goes across. You know, what I'm saying all, you know, what I'm saying D1, D2, FCS, FBS. Did you see who Norfolk State is looking at as possibly bringing in as their replacement head coach?
Mm-mm.
Mike Vick
Why?
from the Virginia area. I don't know if he's coaching now, right now, anyway, but
Everybody trying to get bro.
yeah, yeah, it's
I
gonna
guess
be,
I
it's
hope
gonna
it
be,
worked out for him, but
yeah. Uh, I know what the record is. I I was caught off guard by Kendrick Wade at Mississippi Valley State stepping down as well.
I think they got bigger problems than the coach. But that's just me.
Yeah, that, tell me about it. Yeah. You want to talk a little basketball, man?
We can. I seen what LSU announced today that Jaden Reed tore his ACL and he out
Yeah.
for the season.
Um, yeah, man. I hate to hear that.
Nice win though versus Florida State. Hell of a win.
Yes, man. And that's where I want to go next. Shout out to the SEC. In this SEC ACC challenge, the SEC has won 11 of the 12 games. And right
Yeah.
now, Auburn is playing Duke, and they're up 24-21 right now. Auburn actually jumped all over Duke. Duke has made a comeback.
Yeah, Alabama just
Auburn's
beat
still,
the hell out of North Carolina too.
yeah, yeah. The only loss, Kentucky to Clemson.
Fuck Mark Pope.
uh, mm, that's a good
Ooh.
question.
All right. So there was
Hold on, let me read the questions just because for the audio side. Question from Brian Champagne says, "How many Porter players never play again because no one offers them?"
I don't so I don't have the exact number, but they did this like after the first year of the portal. All right, so in the year 2021, 1,427 players entered the portal. 42% of those did not find a new home, and 4% withdrew from the portal. So 42% of 1,427, which is like what, 700 players. So it's a lot. It's a lot. Grass ain't always greener.
No, it's not. Um, yeah. Trying to think what else we got.
And I think
Yeah,
that
I think
thing
that.
said of the ones who did transfer, of the 54% that did manage to find a new home, 13% wound up below the FCS, below the FBS.
Mm,
So yeah, 42% of them didn't find a new place to go.
yeah.
Or around 600 kids. So and that's just 1 year. And
Yeah,
that
and that
was
was how many? How
that
many did
was
you
only
say?
1,400 people into the portal. It's way more than that into the portal now.
I was just gonna say I'm looking, but I think this may be all sports. Looking at the NCAA's like stats, it says in 2020, well, that was 2020. It had to be all sports because looking at this 2023, 8,767 undergraduates entered, 4,258 graduates entered the portal.
That's crazy.
Um,
8,000
okay,
kids.
now here we go. Hold up. Here it is. This is a little bit more. Let me break this down because this actually can do it by sport. Um, Football, and we'll go FBS. Um, what is the divisional destination of successful Division One portal entrance? 79% went to Division One schools aided. I don't know what that aided and versus unaided.
80 means they went as a scholarship player instead of walking on.
Okay. Well, there you go. So 79% went aided. Uh, this is in 2023. 14% went unaided. This is just to Division One. 6% went to Division Two aided. 1% went to Division Two unaided. Oh, matter of fact, they got numbers. 79% in football, so that was 1,789 actually went to another D1 school with scholarship. 311 went to another D1 school non-scholarship. 140 went to a D2 school scholarship, and 21 went to a D2 school unscholarshiped. So there you go. Yep. And of course, most football players went to go enter transfer portal during December. Yep. And this 2023 is did the same thing you had, and 65% actually transferred, 6% withdrew. Active, it says active, so I'm guessing still in is 30%. Looks like 30% still in there. So 65%, yeah. Yeah. So there you go. That's the numbers. So I'll let me drop this in the chat just in case anybody don't want to look at it. It's actually that's a pretty good question there, Brian. There you go. We got anything else before we get ready to call it a night?
Before we go, I just want to talk trash about your Lakers.
Okay, go ahead.
Boy, they just got beat by 40. You know what? You want to know why they got beat by 40? Because I put them on my damn parlay. I ain't never betting on them motherfuckers again, man.
Yeah. If you hadn't put them on their parlay, they would have won by 10.
I just needed them to lose by 12. That's all I needed. And they
Oh.
lose by 40.
Yeah. I don't even know what I ain't is the crazy part about I didn't even know they was playing tonight. No clue.
I ain't never betting on them again, man. You ain't gotta worry about that ever happening.
I'm gonna tell you who on my bet list.
I'm gonna take my money.
Golden State. There you go. Golden State is on my no bet list.
Oh, yeah. Facts.
Golden State. And I'm gonna tell you another team. Dallas Mavericks. No bet.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just if you bet on the Pelicans, just bet against us.
I think that's all we got, man. I gotta figure out this camera situation so I can get, step my game up because I feel, yeah.
It look like you over there on a jail call, man.
Yeah. Put some money on my books.
That's what I'm trying to do to LSU right now. Put some money on their books.
Give me my theme music. Make your donations. Super chat. Cash App, whatever. Hit us up, man. We'll be back sometime next week. Talk more and more about college football, basketball. Moving on. Get ready for a bowl game. But like that, we out.
You can find the Golden Boot Podcast on YouTube at Golden Boot. On Twitter at Golden Boot. On Instagram at Golden Boot. On Facebook at the Golden Boot Pod. On TikTok at Golden Boot. Or listen on all streaming platforms.